Kamshachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadigurum. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Our salutation to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who is the son of Vasudeva, the chanter of the heart of Mother Jasoda, and the destroyer of the demons, Kamsa and Chanura, the leader of the world and the Guru Supreme. Our salutations to him again and again. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So last time, this is Narada Bhakti Sutra, and we have read the 3 verses last. The example of this supreme love, can it be found? That was the question. And that question was answered, yes, they are available. Like if we look at the life of the Gopis of Braja, Vrindavan, they are the best exemplars. But in their story of their love, it seems it's a human love. It appears like that. How can that be supreme love? Then he said, no, although that appears to you in ignorant mind, but it is not that, because they have extreme knowledge that he is God himself. God himself has been born in the body of Krishna, that knowledge he is carrying with him. That is said that na tatrapi mahatma jnana vismiti apavada. You cannot blame them that they have forgotten the divine glory of Sri Krishna. That he is not human, but he is the support of all creation. He is the source from which this entire universe appears. So that knowledge they carry totally. Therefore, it is known, though they were worshipping Krishna as their lover, the Gopis never forgot then the godly nature, the divine nature of him. And otherwise, Narada himself says on the verse number, last verse, if it is not so, then it will be that knowledge tat vihinam jaranam ivo. If that is not, that is an ordinary mundane love and is to be considered as the love of a mistress for her charamur. So that is so low in nature that that cannot be considered a spiritual life, immoral life. So that cannot be taken into that category at all. Therefore, it is, that's why it is, because in that love, also another characteristic of love is that sit separately, so much space out. Space. তুমি পেছিয়ে যাও একজন পেছিয়ে go back, so space out, little distance is good. Good. So there, in their love, it is not that human love, because human love is selfish and spiritual love is unselfish. And in their love, it is all spiritual, because they don't crave for their own happiness, but their entire life was for the happiness of the Lord Krishna. So that much we have read, and we have read from Swami Prabhupanandaji's book of Narada's Way of Bhakti. And today we will read little bit of the same explanation from this book of Swami Tyagishananda. A little bit of that. It says that the difference between the earthly and the divine love. All love other than that for God is in one sense unlawful. Love, to love any creature as a creature and not as the divinity embodied in it is unlawful. So it is called, if to love any creature, this is a higher philosophy. Unless you love God, every love is a earthly love that has its temporariness, that has its
Swamiji, can you speak just a little bit?
oh,
Not too much, just a
okay. So here all lover other than that for God is in one sense called the unlawful love. To love any creature as a creature and not as divinity, it is unlawful. And he quotes from Thomas Kempis. We read it from the other book also. He quotes the same thing. Nothing so defileth and entangleth the heart of a person, man, as the impure love to creatures. And what is that impure creature love? She says, the same saintly author, that means Thomas Kempis, says that your regard for your friend ought to be grounded in me, capital. And for my sake, capital M, is he to be beloved, and whatsoever he be. Without me, friendship hath no strength, no continuance, neither is that love true and pure, which is not knit by me. So, even the Christian mystics, they are talking about the same line, that the divine love is that which should be centered around God. Anything less than that is impure. God is the only pure. So that idea. Therefore, this love of the Gopis are in a divine level, because they love everything for Krishna, who is the Lord of the universe. Next verse, the verse number 24, which we read, otherwise, because their love is for the happiness of Krishna only. Whatever they acted, whatever they did, is only to give joy to Krishna, not for their own purpose. Selfish love means I love, I want my joy, I want my peace, satisfaction. So the mistress is utterly selfish. Her love is mercenary. She does not care the happiness of her paramour. In pure love and bhakti, there cannot be any trace of selfishness. The lover does not at all care for his own happiness. He is willing to court suffering to make his beloved happy. Exactly so is the case of the Gopis, who did not love Krishna through any selfish motive. They were ready to give up all for making him happy. Their happiness depends only on his happiness, Krishna's happiness. Therefore, this aphorism brings out the second great difference between bhakti and earthly love, the utter unselfishness. So, these are very important aspects to understand what is called the divine love and what is called the earthly love. Earthly love is impure in the sense because it is temporary, it has its actions and reactions, and he says that unless it is centered around God, everything is impure. In the world, everything is impure excepting God. And the last one, unselfishness. For my sake, my purpose, and versus the purpose of others. Now, today we'll read this verse, which is called the highest goal of human life. And verse number 25 is the subject of our study. Now this bhakti is defined here, is the result of its own. If one practices bhakti, what will happen? He will be a bhakta. If you practice bhakti, you become a bhakta. And loving God, you become love incarnate. So it says, Satu, Sa means this devotion, this bhakti, is karma jnana yoge bhopi odhikatara. Odhika means higher, greater. It is greater than what? Satu karma. Greater than karma, greater than jnana, greater than yoga. Odhika, meaning much higher practice is to love God. It may be from two angles, because it is a bhakti school and the bhaktas will be encouraged to grow more devotion. So they may think in this line. Or it may be said that bhakti is the ingredient of all the practices. You cannot love, you cannot analyze the greatness of one unless you love that person or love that object. Renunciation is so difficult, but the renunciation is so easy if one loves one object. He renounces all other things. If one loves one person, he can leave everyone. So love is the ingredient of knowledge. And if there is no love, you will not be interested in discussing, thinking, analyzing. So it is the inherent quality of knowledge, path of knowledge. Meditation. You cannot meditate unless you love something. We meditate on what? Two things. Either we love or you hate. When you love something, you cannot but meditate. You will have to think of that object, that person, that situation, that possession. People meditate on all the subjects what they love most. You don't find anybody that he does not love that subject and also meditating on that. It is impossible. So you see, the ingredient of love is there behind even your meditation. Without meditation, our meditation becomes so superficial. Why? Because we have no genuine love for God. If someone has the love for God, then automatically it will pull the mind focus into the focus of whom you loved. And then jnana, dhyana, and karma also. How will you do any work? Your work, we call when we go to work for somebody where I have no love, you grudgingly do work. Your work makes you agitated. Your work becomes irritating, disgusting, angry. By doing work, you are angry. But you love something, and you can do whatever you like because love ingredient is the consideration there. So, karma cannot be done without love. Karma becomes karma. Karma becomes karma yoga, automatic, because love is the ingredient inside. So, that's why karma, that's great story is there, that when, so there is this story that Belur Math once started doing the relief work, and Baburam Maharaj, Swami Premananda, assembled all the brahmacharis and sadhus that you will have to go to for this relief work now. Get ready now. Just after lunch, bell is given, come and just pack your things and ready within half an hour. So then they all packed up and then appeared and then asked, came to take buy from Babu Ram Maharaj. Babu Ram Maharaj said, okay, so now my question, you are going to do relief work. What will you give? Naturally the question answer was that, what shall I give? Whatever things, no, I get, whatever gift we can get, say clothing, the rice, dal, or whatever I get, I will give it. Then Babu Ram Maharaj said, no, I am not talking about that. What you will give? What I will give? I will give my service. I will give my time. I am going for that purpose. I will give. No. What you will give? Then ultimately they could not respond, and Babu Ram Maharaj said, you are giving the material supplied by someone and you are giving to someone. What you are giving? So you give your love. That is the point. What you give is the important. How you give is the question. If you give with love, even some simple thing becomes valuable. And if you give precious jewel even, where there is no connection of this inner love, then it becomes just a disgusting thing. It creates irritation, anger, frustration, all these things. So this is the point. What I wanted to say, this verse is important in this sense. This verse may look like that it is a very orthodox Bhakti school, saying that Bhakti is the highest than Jnana, highest than your karma, highest than your dhyana, no? So is it too much eulogizing one path and putting down the other three paths, where the Jnana yogis will say, what they say, Jnana is the highest. But we have to understand, no, the essential meaning is that without devotion, Jnana cannot be Jnana yoga, karma cannot be karma yoga, dhyana cannot be dhyana yoga. So this is the one sense, one meaning. Another meaning also can be brought out, that this, it is very spontaneous. Bhakti is very spontaneous because everyone has love inside. And how, when it is given to God, then bhakti really gives the immediate touch of love, joy. Bhakti gives joy. Intellectual things ends in somewhere else. But only the inner strength comes, inner power comes from bhakti. So he has said here, bhakti, also yet as I said, it has another meaning. Here bhakti, this bhakti which the Narada is defining, is not ordinary bhakti. Is not doing some rituals, doing some chants and mantras, or in the shrine as people do, home shrines everywhere. They take a long time to clean and put the deities in proper position, particularly Hindu gods and goddesses, so many. It is called the ritualistic bhakti. He is not talking about ritualistic bhakti. He is talking about the super, pure love. That bhakti is the subject of discussion here. Therefore, that is not the beginner's bhakti, matured bhakti. Matured bhakti is higher than your student who is following the path of Vedanta. No? I am Atman, I am Brahman, I am this, I am not this, I am not this. All these words, all these statements are in a lower level. because it is a student. A student in physics is not a physicist. A student in the path in a geology is not a geologist. So, Jnana path you are following, you are a student. And a Bhakti path is following Bhakti as a student. But here Bhakti is not that student Bhakti. But he has matured into Bhakti because this is of the supreme Bhakti they are talking about. An example they are given, the Gopis. They are not student Bhakta. Student Bhakta will make mark and this and that, chant and sing and dance and so many beads around. As normally we find, that is the starting point. Beads are necessary to repeat the name, no? So you will find that those are the rituals to be done. And this dressing the deity, cleaning the deity, putting the flower, putting food now and taking out the food and again fanning and you go any Krishna temple, any Rama temple, you will find this. No. We are also worshipping. It is, our ideal is something higher, but we try to keep that. That this is, but Jnani also will do the ritual puja. But their puja is different because they have the full knowledge that they are worshipping God Himself. So Parabhakti is the subject. Supreme love is the question here. And that supreme love is much higher than the student following path of karma, student following the path of dhyana, student following the path of jnana. They are all higher than that supreme love, parabhakti, paraprema. Sri Ramakrishna used to say bhava, prema, so these are higher level of bhakti. So this is need to be understood. And in that sense also, that jnana, the highest jnana, is the same. A person following the path of jnana, analysis, when mind becomes totally clean and clear and that person merges into the supreme person, aham brahmasmi, then what happens? That individual then becomes one with the supreme joy. And here also, devotee thinking of God, loving God, becomes one with God. So, in that level, in the level of supreme knowledge, there is no difference between supreme knowledge and supreme bhakti. Who is a perfect meditator, that means samadhi. They are not different. They are the different level, in a lofty level. So in that level, there, from that standpoint, here is mentioned that bhakti is greater than karma, greater than jnana, greater than yoga. So this is to be understood. Otherwise, that's why it is all explanation, how you explain. We are explaining this, but you go to orthodox bhaktas, they will explain it differently. But according to Vedantic background, this is to be understood in this perspective. So the verse again, I remind verse number 25, this is page number 67. It says that bhakti is greater than karma, greater than jnana, greater than yoga or Raja Yoga. And in explanation, Swami Prabhupada says, in this and the succeeding 8 aphorisms, Narada emphasizes that supreme devotion is greater than other 3 paths. The path of union through action, the path through knowledge, and path through meditation. As you say, jnana, karma, yoga, bhakti. So here he is saying the path of bhakti is higher than all the other 3. It may appear this may cause some misunderstanding. That is very important. Normally people do misunderstand this philosophy. And they say this may also create misunderstanding in the heart of other people also. It may appear that Narada is one-sided and that he prefers the path of devotion to the other paths of union. But on close examination, we shall find that Narada here does not refer to the path of devotion as such, but to the ultimate end, which the union with Brahman, the effect of supreme devotion. He is saying that here Narada actually intends when this person, individual sadhaka, becomes tuned to God, that union has happened. For that person he is talking, that bhakti, that union is the highest. As mentioned before, bhakti has two meanings: the realized goal and the path which leads to the goal. So two things. One is one path, that is called the path of bhakti. And when you reach the goal, you call he is a bhakta, real bhakta, genuine bhakta. So path and the goal, jnana and jnani, dhyana and dhyani, karma yoga and karma yogi. One is the journey, one is the achievement. Especially, normally we all say bhakta, 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 bhakti. They are practicing bhakti. But this bhakti means it's a path, only a path. So, it is already mentioned, that's why Swami said here, that bhakti has two meanings. One meaning is the realized goal. When you reach the goal and you realize the goal. That's the one point. And the other, in which the path which leads to the goal. One is realization and one is starting point. So, later Narada will explain the path, the disciplines which lead to the goal. Now he is talking about the ideal. What is the genuine result, end result of your practice of bhakti? That is the para-bhakti one attains. As we stated at the beginning of this book, there are 4 yogas or paths to union with God. These are the path of devotion, path of knowledge, path of work, and the path of meditation. These 4 yogas, however, cannot be separated into airtight compartments. You cannot be say, oh, I am only Jnana Yogi. No. This is unreal, this is unreal. Jnana Yogi is what? First analyze, this is unreal and this is real. Second step is what? What is unreal, give up. Hold on to real. That means love the real. Don't love the unreal. Unless you love the reality, your attention turns into the reality, your affection for the truth does not come, then you cannot progress. So, the 4 yogas, however, that's why cannot be airtight compartment. Rather, every path has the element of other 3. Jnanopath has the element of bhakti, Jnanopath has the element of meditation also. Why you will be day and night thinking that way and getting shravana, manana, mentally dive deep, and nididhasana, deepen your analysis that I am that, I am that. How? So, other 3 are subtle way there. That's why Vedanta acknowledges that, and that's why the progress becomes a little easier, quicker, easier. So the 4 yogas, however, cannot be separated into airtight compartments. And because Ramakrishna has proven this by his life, what has happened? The harmony idea is so dominant in the preaching of Vedanta and this tradition, which is others cannot do that. Those who are following the path, most of the path is devotional path. Christianity path of only devotion, loving God in the particular form. So loving God in a particular form. Okay, but what about other aspects? They were ignored. As a result, they become fanatic. Even in Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, you'll find there are other elements, other segments of practice. But this is the most point, that they don't study the path in this way of broad spectrum. That these four yogas are all there in every path. And therefore you need not have to fight with others, to destroy others' journey and make their life miserable. So, the book says, these four yogas, however, cannot be separated into airtight compartments. In the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita and of Sri Ramakrishna, emphasis is laid upon the harmonizing of all the yogas in one's life and not becoming one-sided. That is the Vedanta teaching. That is the path we follow, thinking that it is, don't fight, you are superior. But you are a path of follower of Jnana Yogi, okay, practice Jnana Yoga, but how can you love Jnana Yoga unless you that love element you? Love is for a particular form or love for the formless. You love element is necessary. Analytical part is necessary to understand what is pure, impure, true, untrue, permanent, impermanent. Meditation will not be possible if my mind takes other thing as very important, and then the thought of God will not come, because unless we turn towards that. So analytical mind is necessary in your meditation also. Meditation time so many thoughts will come. If you are not analytical, and if you don't want to understand that these are unnecessary in my life, then you cannot make a deep, concentrated practice. So individually, there is no individual path as Jnana path, as Bhakta path, exclusive. It has its element of other three. And that is Sri Ramakrishna's. And that makes Sri Ramakrishna unique, and that makes the Bhagavad Gita unique. But people don't read from that perspective. In every religion, Christianity says there are many mansions in my father's place. No? In the heaven there are many mansions. That means many ways of reaching the goal, but reaching there. So there are many instigations, instructions like that, but we fanatics cannot understand that. But teachings of Bhagavad Gita and of Ramakrishna, emphasis is laid upon the harmonizing all the yogas in one life and not becoming one-sided. In other words, one cannot really follow any one of these four paths to the exclusion of the rest. How much you try, you cannot follow exclusively bhakti. You cannot follow exclusive jnana. That means your love element is there for the nirguna, for Satchidananda. Someone's love for Rama, someone's love for Christ. But this is, others may think it is not Vedanta. No, it is not non-dual. But God is non-dual, God is dual. Love element which connects us, that is essential. Only the aspirant may lay greater stress upon one or the other. It is said that according to your tendency, someone may be of emotional nature. If they are emotional in nature, they will love bhakti, path of bhakti. Someone is very analytical nature. They will follow the path of, it will be easy for them to follow the path of knowledge. Those who are little meditative or Indran type, it is good. they can utilize that as meditation. Because by their nature, they don't want to be so much outgoing, distracting and things. By their nature. So they can take advantage of each path. But one must have to understand that we have to take help of the other paths, 3 paths, which is hidden in there. Now he is giving an example. For instance, meditation is to be practiced as a discipline, no matter which path the aspirant may follow. You follow jnana, you follow karma, you follow yoga, you will have to take the help of this one other path. The aspirant must discriminate, and he is to be active as well. Furthermore, the aspirant must have interest in and longing or love for the ideal. This, in reality, therefore, is a combination of all yogas in every aspirant's life. Thus, in reality, there is a combination of all these yogas in every aspirant's life. So, we talk about that all the time. Jnana, karma, yoga, bhakti, samannaya, samuchchaya. That is the philosophy of Sri Ramakrishna. So, don't be one-sided. In this connection, page 68, again let me point out how the followers of the path of love and the followers of the path of knowledge reach the same result. In the end, perfect knowledge and supreme love becomes one. This is a very important point. People think that the paths are different. Yes, paths are different. But if it is followed, the destination reached by a jnani and the destination reached by a bhakta will not be any different. There is, however, a slight distinction between the followers of the path of knowledge and the path of devotion. The followers of the path of knowledge meditate from the beginning on their unity with Brahman. The path of knowledge, suppose someone is a Jnanapanthi, following the path of analysis or discrimination. What they will do? The followers of the path of knowledge, they meditate from the beginning. What they begin? They meditate, I am that. I am not this, I am not this, I am not this, but I am that. So that is the key point of their analysis. From the beginning, the unity with Brahman. And the followers of path of devotion begin as dualist. God is separate, I am separate, God is my father, God is my mother, God is the absolute truth, God is ultimate reality, and I am small, He is big, by His grace I will reach the goal. So this duality concept prevails. The two ideas, one non-dual idea, from the beginning, though I am in the body, though I perceive the world with my senses, though I have suffering and pleasure and pain and all this duality, but in reality I am one with that Brahman, one with that Atman. So when one is keeping a separation, one is removing the separation. There is no separation. I am one with Him. That is the slight distinction. The followers of path of devotion begins with duality, and the followers of path of meditation, jnana, result in the knowledge reaches the same result. Perfect knowledge and supreme love becomes one. There is, however, that distinction that the path of knowledge and the path of devotion, the followers of path of knowledge meditate from the beginning on the unity of Brahman, and the path of devotion, they begin with the duality. Now, but as we analyze, now let us analyze. As we analyze, we find that though the followers of the path of knowledge meditate on their unity with Brahman, still in the path itself there is duality. the meditator and the object of meditation. You say meditator's path is not duality. Well, how can you say? When you meditate, you are the meditator, there is an object of meditation, and through the help of your mind you are meditating. So it is dual. So you cannot say you are something higher because you are a path following the path of meditation. You are higher than bhakta. You are also a student. So you are, and only this approach is different. But as we analyze, we find though the followers of the path of knowledge meditate on their unity with the Brahman, still in the path of itself there is the duality, that a meditator and the object of meditation. That Brahman is the subject and I am the of meditator on the subject. A devotee begins as a dualist. As a general rule, he does not willingly seek union with God. His one desire and longing is to have the vision of God and test the bliss of communion with Him. A devotee begins as a dualist, and as a general rule, he does not willingly seek to be one with God. Bhakta does not become one with God. We read in the Kathamrita Gospel, Ramakrishna said, I don't want to be sugar, but I want to taste sugar. He does not want to be one with God, but to be a devotee. That's enjoying the bliss. So they keep forcefully little separation, distinction. So, but starting as beginning time, as a dualist, it appears, he starts crying and weeping before Makali, performing dualistic puja. It seems that he started that duality, but ultimately, and does not want to be one with union. But when they go to, in that tremendous love, when they become one, then they become in samadhi, they become one with that. Like example is given when Radharani is thinking of Krishna and getting totally absorbed, loses her total identity, body identity, as if she is dead. No. And in that, the concept of my lover, beloved, all dissolves into one. His one desire and longing is to have the vision of God and taste the bliss of communion with Him. Now, once while I was seated at the feet of Maharaj, my master, a devotee approached him and asked, Maharaj, there is a song sung by devotees. What is that? I want to taste the sugar but not to become sugar. Should that be the attitude of a devotee? That means someone put a question before Swami Brahmananda, and Swami Prabhupada was sitting over there, so he heard the correspondence, so he is referring to that. That what is the question? I want to taste the sugar, but not to become sugar. That means, that is the attitude of devotee. Bhaktas, in Vaishnava tradition it is said, Diyomanang nagrinnanti binamat sevanam. Even God gives them the highest wisdom and knowledge, but a devotee does not want that. He wants to remain as a servant, to serve the Lord, to keep that separation and enjoy His bliss, presence. Maharaj then replied, I want to taste sugar, but not to become sugar is for the man who has not yet tasted sugar. When a devotee begins to taste the sweetness of God, he will long to achieve oneness with Him. This is another word. Those who really taste the sugar, ultimately they want to be one with the sugar. So, and love also unites. Always love, the lover and the loved, this distinction goes away. Deep love, this duality vanishes. So, when this supreme love for God arises, lover, love, and the beloved, they become one, as page 69. There is the unitive knowledge of the Godhead. Supreme love and perfect knowledge are one. Supreme knowledge, perfect love, they are one, as I said before. So this is the when this supreme love, this is ordinary love, this in which we are now, but when this love is, someone is fortunate to have that superior love, there this concept of the lover, loved, and the object to love, these three, it is called triputi, that will be dissolved. Lover, loved, and the instrument through which you are loving. Your mind will dissolve in God. As a result, when mind dissolves in God, then the individual who was keeping separate through the presence of the mind, that minds also dissolve, and he also dissolve. So all dissolve into oneness. Like that salt doll merges into the ocean. So what happens? Salt doll merges, and what remains? Ocean remains. So this is the idea. Knowledge or jnana requires the idea of a distinction between the knower, meditator, the object of knowledge, that is the Brahman, and the process of knowledge. However, to have the knowledge of God does not mean that God is the object and the knower is the subject. Immanuel Kant pointed out that as long as there is the least demarcation between the knower and the object of knowledge, the thing in itself remains unknown. As long, Kant said, what he said, as long as there is the least demarcation between the knower and the object of knowledge, tale knower and the object of knowledge. This is the knower and object of knowledge. Knower means I am trying to know, I am the knower. Object of knowledge is God. No. So he says that between them there is a least demarcation. Oh, you can say, oh, knower and the object of knowledge is still there. A little separation is there. Knower and the object of knowledge. The thing in itself remains unknown. You cannot know that God because with your mind which is still making the distinction. That means mind should dissolve. So long there is a range of ignorance. It is in the level of ignorance. Mind plays in the lower level of ignorance. When mind becomes mindless, then only one can say, I know God. Before that, you cannot know God. You can only have some impression, mental impression of God. Shankara, many centuries earlier, had also pointed out that as long as there is the least separation between the subject and the object of knowledge and the process of knowledge, God remains unknown. But he stated that ultimately the spiritual aspirant transcends this dilemma. He called Triputi Veda, lawyer, Triputi lawyer or Veda, the untying of the three knots of knowledge and reaching unified consciousness. Shankara, quote from Shankara, thus the wise man reached that highest state in which consciousness of subject and object is dissolved away and the infinite unitary consciousness alone remains, and he knows the bliss of nirvana while still living on the earth. So Shankara says, it is his own, within quotation, Shankara's own quote, where from he is not mentioning, but he says that means there should be no distinction between the knower and the knowledge. So long I know you, you are separate, I am separate. I am knowing through the help of my mind and intellect. Now suppose this mind becomes cleaner and cleaner, then one will see there is the divine, here is the divine. And then go closer and closer and closer. When the mind becomes much refined and refined and refined, then still it is called the bhavamukha. They go to the edge where they see the infinite reality and inside, all the same. Like you can imagine a jar immersed in the ocean, and this jar is made of very transparent, one very thin layer of separation is there. You can see the water outside, you can see the water inside. Still duality remains until the jar breaks. So the jar of ego, the jar of mind, until it breaks, this distinction will continue and remain there. So it is the Triputi, it is called the Triputi Bheda or unified consciousness. Brahman or God is Satchidananda, existence or eternal reality, pure consciousness, and pure love and bliss. Though these, however, are not attributes of Brahman. That which is Sat is the same as Chit and the same as Ananda. Sat is identical with Brahman, Chit is identical with Brahman, Ananda is identical with Brahman. In the path of knowledge, emphasis is laid on the Chit aspect of pure consciousness, and the path of devotion, emphasis is given on Ananda aspect or love or bliss aspect. When the aspirant reaches the end, there is no longer any distinction between Chit and Ananda. Then supreme love and unitive knowledge of Godhead becomes one and the same. Very beautiful analysis. Bhakta also goes to Brahman, Jnani also goes to Brahman. But what is the difference? Difference is that Brahman we know, it is called Sat, Chit, Ananda. Not that these are not adjectives. If you pull one thing, all the three will come together. Where there is Sat, there is the knowledge and consciousness, and there is the Ananda. Normally, when you say Brahman is Satchidananda, naturally our mind tells, oh, it is made of three things. One is Sat, one is Chit, consciousness, another is Ananda, bliss, joy. No, no, no. Where there is light bulb, this light, it is the Sat. Chit, it is glowing, it is giving light. This consciousness as it were manifesting as light. And it is the heat. There is a heat. You go touch that bulb, you find the heat. So someone is emphasizing God as light, consciousness. Vedanta says God mostly consciousness. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Their emphasis on Chit, also Ananda. And Bhakta only emphasizes Ananda. He is only that heat, that touch. That's why they go very close in their devotion to touch him, to be with him. But not merge. There is a feeling. But you will be merged. You have no option, free option. If you love such an intense way, then that will dissolve the person who is thinking of God as love. Naso Ramana, na ham Ramani, duhu mili eka peshala jani. These two dissolve. There is the lover and the beloved, this distinction does not remain there. So it is called the union, and that perfect union, this is Samadhi state. Bhakta also reaches the same destination, but their emphasis is God as love. And everything, their sadhana, to see God in others as love, love, love. So, but Vedanta says it is consciousness, consciousness, consciousness. Go back. What consciousness is allowing you to see? Kene shitang presitang patati manaha kena prana pratama praiti yukta is saying in the Kena Upanishad. By whose power? Who? Who is behind? Keno. By whom? Ishitam. Desired by whom? Your eyes fall on the objects and you see. Being prompted by whom? Your mind runs into the objects of the senses. What is that? That is the consciousness there. Keno Ishitam. So, this is the best idea, that emphasis. They are all looking at the same bulb. Someone is focusing on the consciousness aspect, light aspect, illumination aspect. Someone is looking only the Ananda aspect. So, when you are looking at that, I am sitting here, I am trying to see the Ananda or heat. I cannot feel it here. So that needs tremendous purification of the mind and craving to reach that bulb, be closer to it. That is the anuraga, love for God. Vairagya, all this will be, you have to give up all these things to go that direction towards Godward. So these should be the only journey. Path will be different. People will follow according to their own taste, either the path of jnana or bhakti, but they are ultimately reaching. So triputi bheda, so God remaining unknown, but it stated that ultimately the spiritual aspirant transcends this dilemma. He called triputi bheda, the untying of the three knots of knowledge and reaching unified consciousness. Three knots of... So Brahman or God is Satchidananda, existence or eternal reality, pure consciousness and pure love and bliss. These, however, are not attributes of Brahman. That which is Sat is the same as Chit and the same as Ananda. Sat is identical with Brahman, Chit is identical with Brahman, Ananda is identical with Brahman. In the path of knowledge, emphasis is laid on the Chit, pure consciousness, and the path of devotion, emphasis is laid on the Ananda, love or bliss. When the aspirant reaches the end, there is no longer any distinction between Chit and Ananda. If you reach that point, then you know they are not separate. So, journey may be different. Journey time you may think that he is higher, I am lower, this. But when you reach the destination, you touch the same reality. Same bulb you touch, as a bhakta, as a jnani. When the aspirant reaches the end, there is no longer any distinction between Chit and Ananda. Then supreme love and unitive knowledge of Godhead becomes one. In the Bhagavad Gita, we read that Sri Krishna gave divine sight to his friend and disciple Arjuna, enabling him to the direct experience of God in his universal form. Then Sri Krishna told Arjuna, what he told? It is Bhagavad Gita, quote, neither by study of the Vedas, nor by austerities, nor by almsgiving, nor by rituals, can I be seen as you have seen me, but by single-minded and intense devotion. That form of mine may be completely known and seen and entered into. Quote ends. This refers to supreme love, which is the same as divine wisdom. So, this is the point. So, our verses end, we will reach the verse number 26 next day. Can we correlate the divine love for God, Upasana, Upasito Brahman and Vedantic Mumukshuttam? Divine love for God, Upasana of Upasito Brahman. What we have just discussed, I think in that perspective, we have not much difference, because if you understand that the divine love for God is Upasana. Upasana of whom? Of Brahman, who I am worshipping. But God is a personal aspect and Brahman is a impersonal aspect. I think that is the distinction. But the urge and the love and the intensity remains the same. Could you elaborate what I heard from a sadhu? What? Quote, look at the glory of a bhakta. One gets siddhi without sadhana, amritatva without jnana, tripti without bhoga. It is the, look at the glory of bhakta, that bhakti, again, which bhakti we are talking about. It is not the bhakti of a student bhakti, but it is bhakti of a matured spiritual personality. And that in that state, it is the supreme Vedantic person will also have the same experience, Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta, those who have realized identity with Brahman, they have identity, oneness with that. So there you can say the same word. As has been the sadhu has told, look at the glory of bhakta. What is the glory of bhakta? One gets siddhi without sadhana. That means without asking for siddhi or success or for miracle. Bhakta can do miracle. Jnani also can do miracle. But they don't pay attention to that miracle side. If a siddha who has attained God, he will not be interested in showing siddhi. But when they show, siddhi means special miracle power, that is for the good of that person. Out of compassion they do, but not as a siddhi. So yes, if you reach the parabhakti, supreme love, all siddhi is in your hand. Whether you apply or not is your thing. But they have no tendency to show their glory by applying it for the public. And one gets siddhi without sadhana, and amritatva without jnana. Jnana, if you following only the path of bhakti, as I said, jnana cannot be separated from bhakti. Unless you know God is ultimate, why will you love Him? Jnana, without the following of jnana, amritatva without jnana. No. You have jnana. You know God is your beloved. God is the highest. That is jnana. God is eternal. Everything is momentary. This knowledge is already there. But you reach that amritatva, immortality. Yes, jnani also reaches the immortality. These are terminological things. When a perfect bhakta reaches the climax, the ultimate realization, parabhakti, then they become exactly, they attain all the siddhi without sadhana and immortality without even analyzing immortal thought. Without tripti, without bhoga. A tripti is satisfaction, and they enjoy seeing God everywhere, seeing Krishna everywhere. So Brahmajnani also sees Brahman everywhere. I don't find much difference, but yes, the sadhu has said that is true for a siddha, but not a student of sadhana. Those who are practicing, it is not for them. Practicing period, everyone is a student. Jnanapath student, Bhaktipath student, Yogapath student, and Dhyanapath student. When they reach the ultimate end, they can have siddhi like that. They can, if they want, they can show some special power. But this power is too little for them. And they only do out of compassion, out of love, out of seeing the suffering of others. Like Ramakrishna sometimes did, Holy Mother did, Christ did. And that is not for showing the siddhi, miracle power. But their miracle is love for God. Their miracle is absorption in God. That is their miracle. That remains the same. Okay, thank you all. So, and, here is a question. What is that mindlessness state? How do we reach that state of mindlessness that you mentioned in your lecture today? Yes, mindlessness state will be we can arrive in that by thinking of God only. Mind will be pure. Mindlessness state is pure mind. When one's mind becomes pure, then they become mindless only. Okay? Thank you. We end here and we will meet you again at 7:30 in our Nectar of Supreme Knowledge class. 7:30. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.